Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Zara and today I'm going to be walking you through the books that I read in the month of May and the books I'm planning to read in the month of June. As I mentioned in my last wrap up, I was on holiday in the month of May. I went to Turkey, specifically Istanbul, and I had the most amazing time. It is a country that I've read so much about just because of the incredibly rich history that it has. And it was so great to see a lot of the places that I've read about, and also Assassin's Creed, the third one in the Ezio trilogy, is actually set in Istanbul. So it was also just quite nice to see it all in real life. Like I had a really good time, learned a lot, ate a lot of really good food, met a lot of really amazing people. And yeah, it was just fantastic. And if you ever have the opportunity to go, I strongly recommend it. I did read a decent amount of books, but as I mentioned in my last wrap up, I didn't read a ton of fantasy, mainly because I've just been finding it really difficult to read fantasy. I'm not excited by much of what is coming out of the fantasy genre currently. I might do a separate video talking about this topic and deep diving into it, because I know I'm not the only person who's feeling this. There's a lot of people feeling this. I think it would be worth digging a little bit deeper into it. But that aside, let's talk about what I read in the month of May. So the first book that I read was a really wonderful little short Japanese translated book, and that was A Perfect Day to Be Alone by Nanae Aoyama. And this one I gave a 3.5 stars. Very solid read, very quick to read. It's all about kind of finding yourself, the relationships that you have when you're younger, and how transient those relationships can be. It's about intergenerational relationships, and also how being in certain places can impact your identity. It's just a wonderful little read. It kind of got me out of a little bit of a funk that I had at the start of the month, and it was exactly what I needed. Then I read volume 10 of Vagabond by Takahiko Inoue, and this manga is just amazing. This one was probably the weakest for me just because there was a lot of battle scenes and fighting scenes in this one, and while I do love seeing the art, I'm less interested in that. I'm more interested in the philosophy and the conversations and the dialogue between the characters. But it was still really solid. I gave it a 4 stars. Then I attempted to read The Griffin King by Sarah Omer. This is a book that I have mentioned before on my channel that was quite a highly anticipated read for me. I am planning to give it another go. I think it was just mood, to be honest. I read about 10% and then I DNF'd it because I just could not get into the book. I will give it another go. The book isn't out yet, this is an arc, but I will give it another go at some point in the future, and hopefully it will stick at that point. Then I read a really great Italian translated fiction, and that was The Communist by Guido Morselli. Never ever heard of this book. I picked up this book randomly when I was in New York a couple of months ago because I really like the sound of it, and it's not what you think it's going to be about. It is about a young man who has been a communist his entire life, and then he becomes disillusioned with communism and the communist movement, particularly in Italy, but then that also extends out to his travels to the US. It is a really great book. It's also a book naturally a lot about politics and how political movements have evolved, but also it's a very intimate story about this young man who's trying to figure out which political ideology aligns with his own. There are some passages in that book that just really stood out for me. I'm going to be doing a review on it in the coming weeks, and I will probably read a couple of those passages because it's so deeply impactful. I learned a lot about communism in this book as well. I think a lot of people who critique communism just really don't know anything about it. So it was also quite interesting to learn more about the fundamentals from a slightly different perspective, because I have read books about communism before in the past, but this just, I think, looks at it through a slightly different lens, and I really enjoyed it. I didn't know what to write this book after I finished it, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. I really liked the translation and I really liked the writing. And so I ended up giving it a 5 stars because I just think it's one of those books that is very quietly impactful. And I think it's going to be a book that I'll think about for a long while. Then the next book that I read was a buddy read, and that was An Episode in the Life of a Landscape Painter by Cesar Ira. Cesar Ira is an author that I've talked about before on my channel, and that was a book I reviewed, I think it was last year, called Forgentious, and that was an absolute delight. So I was very excited to pick this up. This one was a buddy read, and we both had an absolutely amazing experience with it. It's very vivid, it is very imaginative, and it's very layered. Michael and I, who I buddy read it with, we ended up having quite a like long dialogue about it, and he made so many connections in that book that I just did not get, and it kind of changed my perspective on the book as well as we were discussing it. That's part of what I really love about buddy reads, is that you can have such a singular view about a book and then you talk about it with someone else and they just completely change your perspective on it. So that was really nice. I want to reread it again, factoring in now what Michael and I spoke about. And I'm sure I will either in the coming months or years, but it was delightful. Then I had another buddy read, and that was My Friends by Hisham Matar. Laurie and I picked this one up, and this one was very emotional. It's a story, I just realized I haven't done plot summaries for every single book on this list, but you'll probably be able to figure out, folks, by the themes. This book essentially follows two young men who are Libyans, and they meet at university, and it's about their kind of struggles with their Libyan identity, especially as Libya at the time that the book is set was going through quite a lot of political upheaval and social difficulties. It is really, really well written. It is very, very emotional. But it's also so good at talking about friendships and the different relationships we have and how those relationships evolve. This is a book that I strongly recommend reading because I think it talks about the transient nature of friendships so beautifully, but also how even if those friendships end, how they stick with us and how they can also be rediscovered. You know, like how you can have a friend when you're younger, you drift apart for whatever reason, and then you reconnect when you're later on in life. And I just think it did such a wonderful job at capturing the beauty of that. It's raw, it's difficult to read in places. Our characters go through so much change, and even though they both handle it very differently, I think they both come out of it with scars, but they come out of it together, and I think that in itself is very, very beautiful. Strongly recommend it. Simple writing, very well written. I will be doing a proper review on this at some point, but don't wait for my review to read it because it is just such a good book. I gave this one a 4 stars. I did have 1 or 2 minor gripes with it. I'll talk more about that in my review, but don't let that deter you from potentially picking it up. Then I read a Russian. This was a very international month for some bizarre reason. That wasn't intentional. I read Home of the Gentry by Ivan Turgenev. Turgenev is, without a doubt now, my favourite Russian author, or at least one of them. I've read multiple books of his now, and he just is the gift that keeps on giving. This is a very short story. It's about a man who is kind of constantly looking for love but has failed in the past, and it's about him kind of having to come to terms with that. I don't want to say more than that because it's a very short book and I don't want to spoil anything by accident, but it is just a very delightful, quick little read that kind of transports you to the Russian countryside, and I just really, really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. I'll go more into my review about why I didn't give it a full 5 stars, but it's just a really, really good, short, quick read that will have a lasting impact. Then I buddy read another book. I had quite a few buddy reads this month, all with my Patreons, and we all picked really good books, I must say. I read Botchan by Natsume Sasaki, and this is a Japanese translated fiction, and I read this with Matt. Oh my gosh, this book was absolutely incredible. It was my favourite book of the month, without a doubt. It is so funny. I mentioned in my previous wrap-up that I was planning to read this in May, and I said that the way this came across to me was that it was like the Japanese version of A Catcher in the Rye, but it is so much better than A Catcher in the Rye. Like, you cannot even compare them, in my opinion. And I don't think Botchan, our main character, is a sociopath. I think he's just severely misunderstood, honestly. He definitely has like questionable qualities, but he's so charming and he doesn't even try to be. And there were multiple times in this book that I was laughing out loud. It is priceless. I read this book in like a day and a half because it was so addictive to read and really kind of got me out of this little funk that I've been in these last few weeks. Absolutely delightful. I just need to read all of Sasaki's books now because I've heard the tone kind of sustains in other books of his, and I just cannot wait to read them because they just make me smile. Even just thinking about it now just makes me smile. I loved it so much. We're following a young man as he leaves Tokyo to go to the countryside to teach in a school, and basically chaos just ensues. And it's written from first person. He has these utterly cutting remarks. And it's so sarcastic that I love it. I just love it. I'm going to do a full review on this because everybody needs to read this book. It is wonderful. absolutely wonderful. Obviously a 5 stars. I loved it so much. Watch out for my review. But similar to Home of the Gentry, don't wait for my review to pick it up if this sounds at all interesting. It is just utterly wonderful. Then I picked up Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. And this was a book that I was actually planning to read in June, but my mood kind of shifted and I needed something a bit more cozier to read. And based on the plot, it sounded like something that would really resonate with me. So I picked it up. Absolutely devoured it, absolutely loved it. It's another favourite Japanese translated fiction. Murata has an absolutely wonderful tone of voice. I'll do a dedicated video on this one too in the coming weeks. It was utterly wonderful and it was a 5 stars. And then the last book that I picked up but I haven't finished and will be the first book that I attempt to finish in the first week of June is the first book in the Life Ships Traders series, and that is Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. I am about 30 to 40% at the time that I'm filming this video, so I'm coming up to the halfway point. It's an interesting experience. That's all I'm gonna say, because I'll leave my thoughts to my next wrap up. Very interesting experience. Not how I thought it was going to go, if I'm completely honest, but yeah, let's leave it at that. All right, let's now move into the month of June. So naturally, the first book that I want to finish off is Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. Then I have the following on my list. We have Samarkand by Amin Malouf. This is an author that I have been dying to read for a very, very long time. And thankfully, one of you actually commented on my channel. I apologize profusely. I cannot remember who it was right now. I'm filming very early on in the morning, but they recommended me Balthazar's Odyssey, which I did buy. So thank you for recommending that to me. I'm going to read that later on in the summer period because I really want to read Samarkand first because that's been on my list forever. So I'm going to read that hopefully, and then I'll pick up Balthazar's Odyssey later on. But Amin Malouf is just an author that I've had on my list for so long and I just need to read him now. Then we have The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. There's a couple of us who are going to be buddy reading this together in my Patreon. I am very anxious about reading that book because I'm not sure if it's going to be for me, and I never ever thought I would say that when it came to Joe Abercrombie, but that's also okay. It's okay. Then we have The Fortune of the Rogons by Emile Zola. This is an author that I've been wanting to read for a very long time, and I just got to read it. I just got to read it. And this is the first book in like a 20+ book series. And honestly, one of my patrons, Matt, has kind of been a strong influence in wanting to pick up this book sooner rather than later. So yeah, almost certainly will be picking that up. Then I want to read another Russian. I'm thinking that it's probably going to be Dead Souls by Gogol. And Gogol is an author that I've not read yet and I really want to. So yeah, I'm probably going to. Then I want to read Proust, and I'm going to kick off with Swan in Love, which is like a short story that kicks off before his main series. So I want to get a sense for his writing before I really commit to that series. So that's why I'm going to pick that one up first. Then I have an arc that I am so excited to read, and that is The Swallows by Natsuo Kirino. Kirino is a favourite author of mine. She's Japanese. She's an absolutely wonderful writer, and I cannot wait to read this book because it sounds amazing. And then we will have our buddy read in the Patreon. We didn't end up doing it last month because we couldn't really find a book that we all wanted to read, and I think last month was a particularly busy month, so we ended up just delaying it. So this month I think we're probably going to land on a sci-fi book to pick up. So that's exciting. And that's pretty much it, what I've got assigned to the month of June. I might read another sci-fi book as well, depending on what we end up picking for the buddy read. I might move on to the 3rd June book. I'm not sure yet. Really, it's just going to depend on my mood. And I might also pick up another fantasy book. But again, I have no idea what that could be right now. So we'll see. So that's it, folks. A little bit more of a longer wrap up than normal. I think I went into a bit more detail than I typically do, but that's okay. Let me know what you read in the month of May. Always keen to know what you guys have loved and also what you've disliked. I'll see you down below in the comments. Really excited to hear what you've been reading and what's coming up for you as well. Thanks for watching as always. If you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up as it really does help. And I'll see you in my next one. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, take care, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.